Hi, Kevin Coupe here, and here's what's on my mind this Thursday morning. Well, it's going to annoy some of you, but once again, I want to talk about Apple. I get occasional emails when I talk about Apple because people think I refer to them too much. Just as I also get emails sometimes from people who think I write about Walmart too much. Well, what can I tell you? If these companies stop being relevant, if these companies stop making news, I'll stop writing about them. I'll stop talking about them. But for the moment, I'm going to focus on Apple. Two things this week I want to talk about. One is there was a report from CNET saying that Apple, in its Apple stores, is considering getting rid of almost all the computer peripherals and box software that it traditionally has sold in those stores, and using that space and time to focus on things like one-to-one training and Genius bars and things like that. Now, when I first heard this, quite frankly, my reaction was sort of negative. I thought, God, it's really nice that they have that stuff there. Occasionally I buy it there. But I thought about it, and the thing is the computer peripherals and the box software, I can get that anywhere, including from Apple's website if I really want it. The stuff that makes Apple different is the one-to-one training, is the Genius Bar. And so they're probably right to focus on the things that make them different, not the things that make them the same. And it really makes sense if they kind of create a structure, maybe kiosks or something, that will allow people to come in the store and buy that stuff, but they just keep it in the back room. So I think this is a really good lesson for retailers. Too many retailers spend time and money and pay attention to focusing on the things that make them the same, not the things that make them different. That's not what Apple seems to be doing here, and I think it's a good lesson for all of us. The second story has to do with Steve Jobs, the icon who runs Apple Computer, who came back even from medical leave last week to introduce the iPad 2. What interests me about this is not so much the iPad 2, although I have to say, just like everybody else, I want one. But what really interests me about the announcement is the way that Steve Jobs kept talking about the post-PC world. He talked about the iPad 2 and the original iPad, and indeed the iPhone and the iPod, as all being part of a post-PC world that Apple was preparing for and really trying to make strides in right now. And he said his feeling is that most of the competitors that they're dealing with, and there's a lot of tablets going to come out this year, they're still sort of building them within the framework of a PC world. And he thinks to be successful long term, you have to focus on the post-PC world, because that's where things are going. I thought that was fascinating. I thought it was really interesting. And it occurred to me, for example, are there supermarket companies out there that are preparing for a post-supermarket world? Such a thing is going to happen eventually, and it'll probably happen faster than any of us think. Somebody's going to come up with an idea that is going to disrupt the industry and create a post-PC world. Just like Apple is trying to create sort of the internal architecture to allow it to cater to a post-PC world, supermarkets and other kinds of retailers have to develop the internal architecture that will allow them to focus and cater to a world that is dramatically different from what they're dealing with today. That's what it takes to be relevant. That's what it takes to survive. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this Thursday morning. As always, I want to hear what's on your mind. Have a good week, everybody.